Hopp! Max muss gegen einen ehemaligen Top-10-Spieler ran. Er ist zurzeit die Nummer 24 der Welt und hat die BDO-Weltmeisterschaft 2008 gewonnen. Aus Wales, the Spider, M.Webster! Und auch den Caller wollen wir hier in Riesa herzlich begrüßen, Paul Hinks.
Well, it's not been a great day for the German players so far. Two of the host nation qualifiers have already exited the tournaments. First of all, it was Dragutin Horvat, beaten by Chris Quantock, and then in the last match of the afternoon session, we saw Ben Royth lose to Josh Payne. Now it's the turn of the maximizer, 21-year-old Max Hopp, playing in his 6th European Tour event of the year. And he could do with a big run this weekend as well. 3 successive first-round defeats on the European Tour stage. And he's up against a man in the shape of M.Webster, 24 in the world rankings right now, but somebody who's not been with us on the European stage since Leverkusen, where he suffered a first-round defeat at the hands of James Richardson. Paul Nicholson alongside me for this one. Good setup, good matchup, these two.
Yeah, this game has got a lot to offer. We've got M.Webster, fresh off being a commentator and presenter extraordinaire at Champions League darts. And he will revel being back on the hockey as a player in his favourite red and black. Big Man United fan, of course.
First leg is marked, the throw first. Himo.
Max Hopp, the pressure here is on him, I feel.
Yeah. I think he owes the German crowd a big performance this weekend. 3 successive first-round defeats, made the second round on a couple of occasions. As he looks to make sure of his place in the European Championship. £7,000 on the European Order of Merit. He's a couple of grand away from the cut-off point at the moment, so he needs a big run this weekend just to get himself back into contention, you feel.
Quarter-finalist last year at the European Match Play. Max Hopp.
And Webby also had a quarter-final appearance last year as well on the European Tour. That was at the German Darts Championship in Hildesheim at the very end of 2016. That was when he was in really good form as well, wasn't it, in that autumn of last year? And he's in good form here as well, 180 to
get himself down to 81 on his throw in the first leg.
Yeah, the one thing I'm looking at with both of these guys from the very start are equipment changes. Mark is not the kind of guy to change equipment very often. Double 16.
49.
But with Mark, it's just a brand new set of darts, which sometimes you just need a brand new set. And sparkly new points as well, with a little bit more grip in them, just to give him that extra 1%. And so far, so good for Webby. Looking good.
Yeah, very much so. And Webster takes the opening leg. Since we last saw Webster in Leverkusen on the European Tour, he's had another birthday. 34 years old now, so 13 years between these two.
100.
And he's prime. 34 is a good age for a dart player, I feel, especially with his experience.
Ryan Nickel and Ryan Searle, the players he beat in qualifying, 6-2, the pair of them.
Max Hopp came through his campaign last night, beating René Paul, Michael Hurtz
and Stefan Stoiker.
Yeah, Max is using what look to me as different darts, but a predominantly shorter stem. He's definitely searching for something with his kit at the minute. Every single European Tour event that he qualifies for at the minute, something's different about it. He hasn't got any comfort with what he's using. That says to me that he's just got no consistency.
Well, we talked about Hopp's troubles on the European Tour, 3 successive first-round defeats. He's been knocked out in either the first or second round in each of his last 7 Pro Tour events as well. In the mix of all that, he had the chastening experience of Las Vegas in the World Series as well, where he was beaten in the first round by Dave Richardson. So it's not been a productive few months for Max Hopp.
When you go through spells like this, what Max is going through, it makes the glory days seem even glorier. 148. And Max is quite stubborn on that treble 20, so he'll definitely stay there. Another one of those will leave the Mensa Suljevic.
Ooh, just unable to. Well, it's down to a finish of double 4, and that gets the applause of the home crowd here. Webster with work to do, but that's going to put some pressure on.
That's one of those just-in-case shots, isn't it?
It is, just in case Hopp ends up in the madhouse, but he doesn't. So he levels things up, 1 apiece.
This is Max's part of the country, isn't it? He lives in East Germany, I believe. He did this time last year.
Yeah, well, I'm not entirely sure, actually.
59.
He moves around as much as I do. You never know where he'll be. I've had more homes in the last 10 years of my pro career than Andy Smith's had pies. I was practicing with Mark a little bit in Cardiff last week. And very much like what we said in Leverkusen, where he would admit he was outplayed by James Richardson. Richardson just played brilliantly the first couple of days there. Webster's fluid style after some troubles with his action, it looks as good as ever. And that is really good for Mark for the future, because as far as his talent is concerned, he is one of the most dangerous players in the world. And he's got more bottle than most.
Born in and resident in Idstein, which is nowhere near here, Paul, I'm afraid to say.
That's me sacked. How far's too far?
Well, it's far enough looking at this map.
Is it Australian far or is it
No,
England far?
it's certainly a different regional accent.
49.
Enough to be insulted by saying he's from a part of a country which he's not from. I understand that fully.
It's a bit like telling a Londoner he's from Merseyside. Anyway, Webster, tops.
84. Action required 152.
Well, this would be an to his season if he could get this one. Treble 20.
He's praying that if he hits another one, that one doesn't fall out.
Yeah.
The good news is, it looks like it's got some purchase on.
Just taking a moment here, Max.
Bullseye. Oh, I tell you what. Brilliant thinking from the maximizer. Didn't really... He had one choice, and he took it. Webby on double 5. Splits the 2.
I was just going to say, it's almost like Hopp deserves something from this leg, and he may well get his chance. Webster has given him the opportunity. 9 for double 8s. Double 4. There it is. The crowd believes once again.
I felt that if Mark was going to keep the crowd quiet here, because the crowd has grown since this afternoon, he was going to keep them pegged back. He needed to get a lead and keep it, and keep Max at a 2-leg advantage. Right now, he's got to fight to get back on level terms. Max is really good at riding the crowd when he gets them in his corner. All he's got to do is look at the World Cup.
Yeah.
The game against Wim van Barneveld, which is one of the performances of the year.
The thing about Hopp, though, is, we saw it very recently in Maastricht when he played Kirk Shepherd. He was in a really good position against Kirk Shepherd. He had a fairly healthy lead, looked to be absolutely flying, and then all of a sudden he had one bad leg, and you could see it just eat away at him, and you have to worry that something similar could yet happen here as well. I mean, he's on the crest of a wave at the moment. He's got the crowd behind him. He looks to be in a pretty good place, but it can so easily turn for him, and that's the big thing with Max right now.
But Dan Dawson says it all the time, doesn't he? That Max loses games that he shouldn't lose.
16.
And that's not a good thing to have as your tag.
He must be churning over so many what-ifs right now as well. But if he can just stay on the track here...
174.
I think Mark has just said goodbye to this leg, really.
Yeah,
It's been brilliant from Hopp, it really has.
Yeah, he's consolidated really well, or is threatening to consolidate really well here. Double eights. Yates does the try, and Yates it is from Max Hopp. Now is the moment for him to take a 3-1 lead.
Again, we talked about the gap between qualifiers. Max got through last night. Mark got through to this tournament the first week of August.
Yeah.
It's not really a fair reflection on current form. But one thing Mark has got in his locker is more than a decade of experience in these kinds of matches and finding what he needs to find to get the better of his opponents. And when he's missing, he's not missing by much.
And also the other thing last night with the qualifying, it was a fairly, I mean, comparatively a much smoother ride for him. I think it was in Hamburg earlier this year where every qualifier he played the night before went to 6. I mean, that must have taken a lot out of him. Last night, though, 6-1, 6-4, 6-3, so he had, you know, room
To spare there, or legs to spare, shall we say.
I can't tell you as a player just
how much easier it is on your heart and your head when you win 6-0, 6-1 or 6-2 with a bit of breathing space. 6-5s really do take it out of you. They just put you in the mill. You feel like you're getting ground up. But last night it was easier for him. 6-1, 6-4 and 6-3, so...
Yeah.
58.
Well, Webster is down to a finish of 158, but Max Hopp can just get his nose in front here, potentially.
Mark McLeod, 158.
Well, that set it up very nicely indeed. 160. The finish is on, but Webster might get there first.
He will hate that 4 because
Makes a big
it's a
difference.
single 18, it's 20 tops. Now he needs a treble to get 2 shots at a double. That's if he comes back, of course.
Oh.
He will come back. And this could well be a must make. Treble 18. Likes tops, so a single 16. 1 shot at double top. It's classy from Webster. The crowd are silent, and Mark needed that because if Hopp goes 4-1 in front, he is the favourite.
Well, do not rule Mark Webster out of this by any stretch of the imagination. He is very, very capable of forcing the issue here. Just the one break of throw down. This is very, very retrievable.
He's been in matches that have been of this length and others. Some of the greatest games of all time. Remember a television final against Gary Anderson. Must be 10 years ago now. An absolutely ridiculous amount of sets where they both averaged about 100. Of course, his Lakeside final with Simon Whitlock. Quarter-final with Philip Taylor at the World Championships at Ali Pali.
114.
Max's rhythm.
Has been up and down. He's been chopping and changing that as well as equipment. To his credit, it's working pretty well. But so is Webster's visit as well. He's putting pressure on the German.
Yeah, it certainly is. And all of a sudden, there's a very different demeanour about Max Hopp here. He's under a lot of pressure. Webster sitting on 85. Hopp has to simply find a response. And, well, it's a ton, so he's down to 138, but Webster can get back on terms here with 85. Well, 82 now.
Treble 14, maybe. He's looking at the ball. 17 leave tops.
45. Max require 138.
See the thinking behind the 25 because he wanted to guarantee himself a shot at a double as opposed to the bull. A shot at that double now. That double is one that he really favours.
57.
Got to fancy him for this.
40.
Yep, for the break.
And once again, Max Hopp finds himself pegged back on the European Tour stage. It's happened time and time again, and it's potentially to his downfall and to his detriment once more here.
We commentated on Chris Quantock earlier on. We talked about left-handers and double 10 and tops. It seems to be the case for all of them. Tops and 10s.
93.
Yeah.
Wadey, perfect. Tops and 10s. Webster, tops and 10s. Quantock, tops and 10s. I'll have to get my social media going and try and find out how good Alan Glazier was on double top and double 10. I'm sure there were other great left-handers. They were great on those parts of the board, except Sean Palfrey.
Yeah. Well, 2016 was a productive year for Mark Webster. Made the quarterfinals of the UK Open, qualified for the World Match Play. Made the last 8 of a couple of Players' Championship events last year, something he managed just once so far this year in April at Players' Championship 5. Made the semi-finals of the World Grand Prix 2 years ago, didn't he?
He did. And unfortunately, Mark is not in the tournament this year. But Max was in that 60, all right. Which means Mark Webster is going to be losing quite a lot of ranking points in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
He knows that. He knows that he can't do anything about it, so he's not stressing about it, and that is the right attitude.
Well, Hopp, I wouldn't say he was on the ropes, but he's certainly counter-punching his way back into this one. And he's scoring very nicely as well. He's down to a finish of double 18 after 12 darts.
Gonna be under pressure.
13 dart break here for Max Hopp.
100.
Yeah, it's a good response. Showing a bit of character here, Max. Got to finish it off. Has to go in this time.
No score.
It's unbelievable how
He
that
had
did not go in.
Natural barrier there, didn't he? Just to slide it under the tray, and it wasn't to be. Webster, 60 away. Stepping over to the right-hand side to find the space and exploit the gap, but it's not there.
Deja vu, perhaps. 3 darts in hand. Double 18. Can he get it this time? Splits. Double 9. The lefty is lurking on double 10.
Max takes a breath. Gets it.
Cool, calm and collected on a double that right-handers do not like. A very good shot from the home favourite.
Intriguing game, Rob. Couple of breaks of throw, we thought.
Webster was back in the lead, but one shot missed at tops. Max gets another visit and takes advantage.
100.
Yeah, 2 breaks to 1. Hot leads, but still you feel there is something more to come here from Webster.
96.
It's interesting looking at the demeanour of both guys. Mark's giving absolutely nothing away, whereas there's some tension and urgency on the face of Hopp. Every dart. Giving it.
Yeah. And it might not be the case, but he does look very, very nervy.
Deep inside, he might be feeling very happy with the way things are going. Who knows? But
93.
Some people play better when they're under tension, and nobody better than Alan Norris, who gets the winner of this. And these guys here will know that Alan Norris, in the last European event in Mannheim, did not play well.
40.
So they will see this game as a great opportunity to potentially upset the seed and get themselves further on into the tournament
57.
and potentially look at other opportunities later in the week. But they've got to take care of this first. It's a very close, tense encounter. Got to say as well, Rob, that when you make equipment changes, ever so slight,
59.
I know that Peter Wright is the exception, But when you make small changes in your equipment, like Max has done with his stems, when you're under pressure, you need something to rely on unconsciously. It might not happen with something that you've changed.
Well, Webster's on a bogey number there, so Hopp can really apply some pressure here.
140.
Oh, that's a big 60.
Max will require 100.
That's as big as 60 as we've seen in this match so far, because it gives him a potential shot at a double if he comes back. There's the 5. There's 65.
Tops for a 5-3 lead for Max Hopp. Ooh, he was some way below that one.
Max will require 67.
Just like we said, he's living every dart. Webster, treble 9. Single 18. Double top has always been his friend.
27.
It isn't this time.
Yeah, his friend has deserted him there when he needed it most. Max Hopp now has 3 bites at double 10 to move to within 1 leg of a place in the second round for the first time in 4 European Tour events. And a meeting with Alan Norris, the number 6 seed, in the last 32 tomorrow.
130.
I always think it adds something to the tournament if there is a host nation player involved going into the weekend. I mean, you've got Martin Schindler to come as well, but by the same token, it's potentially sorry to see Webster go, because he is such a, you know, a good character, a great guy to have around the place as well. But he's not done with yet, you know.
177.
And that is very, very effective indeed. Okay, it's on the Webster throw.
That's saying I'm not going anywhere. I'm prepared to rattle off 3 in a row
140.
to get the job done. And he's done that a million times when playing for himself and his country.
Well, this is almost like a free hit for Hopp. I mean, if he gets the opportunity to break, all well and good, but it's all about the next leg for Max Hopp. Should we go the distance, or should we go into the next leg?
He can stick in a 140 here, though, Max. All of a sudden, Webster might have to change what he does. Max has to go back up to the 20s to leave a finish.
59.
Yeah, 167 is the finish as well. So it's a biggie. We've had 164 twice today. Hopp might not get the opportunity. Tops then for Webster. And 160. He's quite some distance away as well.
What a way to wrap it up this would be. Treble 20. Treble 19.
Bullseye for Max Hopp for the match. It was too much to ask.
And it dipped again, Rob. Much like that shot at Tops in the last leg. Double 10 for the lefty. 2 5s. Splits it again, just like the last time.
Well, this is Max Hopp's moment. This is surely his moment when he ends this awful run of first round defeats on the European Tour. Double 16, 1 dart in hand for the match. He's not there yet, you know.
But 5 is not easy. He's going to go for the 1 double 2. Double 2, gets it. Oh, that's a very good shot, you know.
Yeah, penny for the thoughts of Max Hopp right now. A missed match darts.
Now he has his own throw, which you would think is good. You open your hands and you think, I'm going to win this match now. But then the luck turns, you miss a couple of match darts, you have a bounce out, and you think, it might not be my night. The unflappable Mark Webster, who has shown absolutely no emotion in this match. And I feel that's got to be because he doesn't want to feed the crowd.
3 match darts missed by Max Hopp. 1 at the bullseye.
16.
1 at double 16. And another at double 16.
96.
And Webby is renowned for his switching to treble 19 when he had his best run at the PDC World Championships. There was some ridiculous statistic about how many times he hit the treble 19. But that's 3 in the treble 20 for Hopp. Boy, did he need them.
Yeah, again, though, I mean, the approach play at times for Max Hopp has been really good. You know, nothing wrong with it at all. But when it comes down to the final reckoning, when it comes down to closing things out,
Oh, Mark Webster replies for the 171.
And he's down to the Della.
What's more, that 171 was ever more impressive because he was distracted by the dropping of a dart from Hopp.
180-140 for Max Hopp gets him down to 81. Webster is not going to finish here. Treble 20 leaves tops.
Max require 81.
Hopp, 3 missed match darts already.
You said penny for your thoughts. 12 in ball. Double 13. He's got it! Max Hopp, a brilliant match. Webster piled the pressure on with a brilliant last leg there, but Hopp was up to it, and he had his best leg of the match in leg 10, which ultimately got him 6 legs. He's going through. He gives respect to his opponent. You've got to feel with his demeanor, though, that he is very much more, thank God I'm through, as opposed to, I know I was going to get through. You can see the nerves in the Hopp camp. But the home nation favourite does get the triumph, and he will go through
To tomorrow to play Alan Chuck Norris. We'll get some words with him now in his native German with Elmar.
Heimspiel ist Heimspiel, ne?
Heimspiel ist Heimspiel, da bist du verdammt richtig. Sachsen, wir sind geil, oder? Sind wir geil?
Max, du machst auf mich einen ganz schön erleichterten Eindruck. Dass, wir alle wissen, ihr wollt auf der European Tour gerade zeigen, was ihr könnt. Keine leichte erste Runde zu spielen hier und überstanden. Glückwunsch.
Dankeschön. Definitiv keine leichte erste Runde. Mark Webster, der stand schon im WM-Halbfinale, der ist seit Jahren ein super Spieler und ich weiß, er hat hier und da seine Probleme, aber das habe ich auch. Ich habe auch ein schweres Jahr 2017 hinter mir, deshalb ich bin sehr, sehr froh. Für mich geht es noch um die Europameisterschaft, um die Weltmeisterschaft. Ich möchte mich unbedingt qualifizieren und gerade in Riesa, ich meine, morgen wird der ganze Saal hier voll sein. Ich komme aus Plauen, das ist ein Heimspiel, da muss ich gewinnen, es geht einfach nicht anders.
Und eines ist auch klar, ein richtig gutes Abschneiden bei einem European Tour Event verschafft dir den Sprung wirklich vielleicht zur EM oder vielleicht auch zur Weltmeisterschaft.
Definitiv, diese European Tour Events sind so verdammt wichtig. Jeder Spieler bereitet sich sehr, sehr gut darauf vor und wir alle können da große Schritte in der Weltrangliste machen. Deshalb, dieser Sieg war verdammt wichtig für mich heute. Ich war im Vorfeld sehr nervös, das gebe ich offen und ehrlich zu. Aber ich habe es geschafft, ich habe gewonnen und hoffe, dass ich morgen noch eine Schippe drauflegen kann.
Ja, sehr gut. Letzte Frage. Alle Insider haben das gesehen, neue Darts, ne?
Neue Darts, ja. Da werden noch viele Informationen im Monat Oktober folgen. Ja, neue Darts, neues Shirt, da kommt einiges auf euch zu.
Alles klar, wir sehen dich morgen wieder. Der Maximizer steht in Runde 2. Gratulation an Max Hopp. Und damit haben wir auf jeden Fall schon mal einen Deutschen auch am Samstag noch mit dabei, wenn die Hütte hier richtig voll sein wird. Er, wie gesagt, gegen Alan Norris. Später in der 6. Partie des Abends natürlich auch noch Martin Schindler, der sich gerade hinten noch warm wirft.